Fine, yes. Thanks for joining this demo session. A quick introduction about me. I'm Satish. I have a close to 15 years of experience in IT, uh, cutting across various aspects of SDLC, right from product development, performance testing, performance engineering, and I've also been taking the both corporate training, and I'm with Asia for the last 3+ years, taking various courses. Performance engineering is one, and also K6 DevOps for performance, Selenium for performance, security testing. So I've been taking these courses with Asia for the last 3+ years. Okay. So this course, as you all know, this is for the performance engineering for I would say beginner and beginner to intermediate level. So which means I presume that most of you who have joined this demo today, somewhere or other, I think you might have already doing some level of performance testing, or you're into testing already, or maybe a developer. So I presume that you guys might be falling under any of these category, right? Though performance testing is not a real prerequisite for learning engineering. Engineering itself is a separate stream altogether. But logically, if you are a performance tester, you're from a career perspective, this is a logical way of upskilling you to the next level. Okay, so what we'll do today is before I go into explaining the what topics we are going to learn, you might have already seen the website. Uh, what are all topics we are going to cover in this batch? But I'll go over and explain it a little bit so that you'll know exactly what I'm going to learn in the next 3 to 4 weeks, or rather 4 to 5 weeks. Okay, so before that, I just wanted to probably get a view from you all. If you can probably put it in the chat, right? What do you think you wanted to learn when you say it is a performance engineering, right? You can probably, for somebody, it will mean that tuning or a profiling or monitoring, whatever it is. So if you can just from your perspective, what is it you wanted to learn, or what is it you think that um, is called performance engineering? So you can probably if you can put it in the chat, I think that will help me to go forward with the topics today. So just feel free to you can put it in the chat, or you can also even unmute and then tell what you wanted to learn from a engineering perspective, or what do you think that it's all about performance engineering. So feel free to put it in the chat.
Hi Satish.
Hi.
My name is Bhumika. So I'm currently working as a performance tester from past 3.5 years. So I have just basic knowledge, a beginner knowledge in LoadRunner performance testing. So I am expecting to upgrade into performance engineering, because the type of work which we do in our company is just like scripting and just execution. It would be more of that, but I just want to learn into in a inner depth how performance engineering works. So the profiling tools, the monitoring. So that's my goal for this this course.
Okay, perfect. Okay, sure. So I'll probably try to note it down. Just
Mhm.
keywords, right? So you mentioned about the profiling tools, monitoring. Okay, great,
Yes.
great. Okay. I mean, very specifically whatever you mentioned, right? That's how we have tailored this course as well. So you
Mhm.
might be falling under these category, right, where you might be already doing some level of scripting using LoadRunner or Jmeter. You might be doing
Yes.
some executions. You might be doing some basic analysis, but not in-depth bottleneck analysis or performance engineering. But you might be doing all these in scripting, execution, reporting would be a typical project work, right? And what we
Yes.
want
Yes.
to, yeah, perfect. Yeah, thank you. So what we want to do is one, people who are falling under this category, we wanted to make them more relevant to the today's job market, or even from a project perspective, right? So
Mm-hmm.
earlier we used to have a huge team with many performance testers, automation testers, manual testers. Now with all these with agile and sprint model, where you might have a very small pod teams with a couple of developers, couple of testers, and testers are expected to do multiple things, right? A tester should be able to do manual testing, automation, plus some level of performance. Other way around, a
Yes.
performance tester should be able to do some level of other testing. So which means you're not going to have a lot of people in the project. So which means for you to be relevant, it is very important for you to do two things. One, you can probably go and cross skill yourself into other areas like automation testing or security testing. That is one way of you getting a cross skill. Other way is you go and upskill yourself in the same domain, performance testing domain, and go in depth into that area, right? So this
Yes.
particular course is meant to go and get your skills deeper into the performance engineering or performance domain. Yeah. So whatever you mentioned is exactly the intention of this course as well.
Sure.
Okay, good. Others have mentioned integration with. I'll just go over integration with Jmeter, CI/CD, and then JVM tuning, DB deadlocks. Okay, good. And then keep dump analysis. Okay, good. Okay. So while others are going to provide their input, let me go over these things. Integration with JMeter CI/CD, though it is not a pure play engineering aspect, right? But we have included this topic as well as part of the what to say, the bonus topic. The reason is wherever you go, though it is not part of performance engineering, you will be asked about how you can integrate your load testing tool into the pipeline. In matured organization, they have a continuous deployment, continuous testing, right? Your code gets merged, your code get a build is getting built, and then it is getting deployed, and then you have a smoke test, you have a regression automation, and then followed by the performance testing, and then some security testing, and it goes to the production directly. So that's a continuous deployment and continuous testing. So though it is not everywhere matured, but definitely people would like to integrate Jmeter or LoadRunner into the pipeline, and then there are going to be a lot of issues around when it comes to these integration, real time practical challenges, right? So definitely this is going to be covered, but not very in depth, but more in terms of to get you awareness on what all things you should consider, what all things you should not do. So and you'll also get a recorded video of how to integrate JMeter with CI/CD Jenkins, right? That also you will get it. This is covered. JVM benchmarking and JVM tuning in terms of your thread configurations, in terms of your configuration, GC tuning flags, your EAP configuration, all these things are also part of the topic. Profiling tools, yes, we will be looking into a couple of profiling tools from like a J profiler, JVisual VM, and then we also will touch base on few other languages like your .NET and uh, your Python, because Python being a very nowadays common in your downstream services, so you might end up looking into the Python as well. So we just wanted to give an introduction to both Python and .NET. Though we are going to full-fledged look into Java from a profiling, memory leak analysis, EVDUM, ThreadDump, all these things will be focused on Java heavily, but more from how to approach when in your architecture. There are going to be multiple languages, right? It can be .NET, it can be a Python, it can be a Node.js, it can be Go language, it can be anything in the future as well. So you cannot go and learn everything and master everything. Java is one of the very common enterprise grade programming language, which is going to be in many places. So, and from an interview perspective, also, you'll be questioned around the Java, JVM concepts, and the associated engineering. So the course itself is focused on from a Java perspective, but just for you to understand or to get an awareness of how to approach when application is going to have a Python or a .NET, what tools are available. It's so from an introduction perspective, we'll also cover both Python and the .NET. DB deadlocks. DB deadlocks is not part of the scope. The reason is, see, as an application performance engineer, right? We'll be looking into the application performance from a profiling perspective, finding out a bottleneck, finding the your leak analysis, memory leaks, and also with respect to backend queries, DB queries, we will go and look into how to analyze your SQL response time, analyze the AWR report, but more from an application perspective. We are not a DBS. We are not database performance engineer. Okay, there's by that itself is a huge area. It's a kind of an SME work. DBS never will allow us to go and tune the database, configure the heap. All these things will be taken care by the your DBS only. So we will learn database performance more from an application performance engineer perspective. So we'll not go in depth into the optimizing your database or tuning your database, assigning the heap or memory to the database. All these things is purely a DBS work, which is not going to be part of your this course at least. Okay. Where to start from, where comes to debugging? Yes, all these things definitely you will learn how to start the debugging, from where to start, how to go about it. We will learn heap dump analysis. Yes, definitely heap dump, thread dump, both are going to be part of the scope. And uh, can we create one? Okay, can we create virtual performance test environment like production? Okay, let me copy it, and then I'll answer it one by one. Yeah, before I go into the topics where it might be a kind of a monologue, right? I just want to have this as a more of an interactive thing. Even during a course, right? During the sessions, I want you guys to be very open with your questions. Don't worry what will others people will uh, think about your question. Even it is going to be very basic, don't hesitate. If in case if that the question is going to be little deviated from a topic, then I'll probably take it offline. Otherwise, don't think that if you ask a question, what will others will think about it. We are here to learn, so don't even think what others are going to think about you. When after the course is over, nobody is going to be, nobody knows each other, right? When we are just here to learn, I'm here to share my knowledge. So don't worry if it is a basic. Only thing is, if it is out of topic and if it is getting deviated from our current that day topic, then I'll probably take that offline. Otherwise, you don't hesitate at all to ask any questions. Okay, this is one, and then yeah. So, what is the difference between on-prem and cloud? What metrics we will consider from both? Yes, you that also will learn. Okay, from on-prem introduction to the cloud, resiliency, introduction to resiliency. What is going to be difference from a testing perspective? What is going to be difference from engineering perspective when you move from application from on-prem to cloud? All these things you will learn. Okay, Datadog is not covered. Rather, you're going to learn AppD and Dynatrace. They both are leading APM tools. This Datadog is also catching up very fast, but Datadog is not going to be covered as part of uh, the course. I mean, already we have two APM tools, right? Which itself is a good market leading tool. So we are going to cover only these two tools. Datadog is not going to be part of the batch. If you have any specific questions around Datadog, probably you can ask me. Or if you only want Datadog, you can also tell me. I'll check whether there's any other course available for you so that you can go and take it. So if you look into the current market from an APM tool, you will have AppDynamics, Dynatrace, Datadog, you have Neuralink, you have open source Elastic APM, and you have Azure Insights or Azure Monitor. All are popular APM tools, right? But if you see, all the tools are catching up, but still Dynatrace is going to be your pretty much number one. AppD is probably 2 or 3 between Datadog and AppD. So we'll cover both these AppD and Dynatrace. Okay. Can it create virtual performance test environment like production? I don't know what is it the your intention behind this question. If you ask from a project perspective, yes, that's how we do it, right? You will have a development environment, you will have a testing, functional testing environment, you might be having a UAT environment. Similarly, we'll also have a performance test environment. Uh, and then it's going to be similar to production, is what our expectation. If it not, at least some scale down 50 percentage of production is what we go and propose. It's virtual. Yeah, it's the missions are going to be virtual missions anyway. VMs a part of your physical host. That's how it happens in project. Is that what you mean by this question? Can we create instance? Is that what you mean?
Yes, yes. To simulate the real world execution results. So can we create
Oh,
this production like testing environment?
correct. See, definitely with now the power of cloud, right? Where you can on demand, you can spin the machines, and then you can use it, and then you can tear it off. Earlier, with we don't have that cushion. We have to go and estimate it. We have to procure. We have to maintain. And once you procure it, right, those machines are going to be idle for uh, uh, maybe out in 1 week, 3 days it will be busy, 4 days it won't be occupied, right? So you're not going to use it wisely. Now with the power of cloud, if you have a 10 machines in production, each with 16 gig RAM and then 8 CPU, you can go and get a similar configuration in the performance environment also. Use it only when you run a test, and then you can probably stop it, right? So that's only minimal cost to spend to the your cloud. So with now that we have that flexibility to have a realistic production like environment in performance also, and we should go and recommend, we should go and push the team to get that kind of environment. Even though the scale down, you can do some extrapolation and all, it is never going to be similar to what it might happen in the production. So yes, it is possible. There are a lot of places people are doing it. The cloud is really helping us, your AWS or Azure or GCP, uh, they're really helping us to achieve this real time environment. And also in parallelly, we're not going to spend too much of cost, because after the test is over, you can go and turn it off. So yes, the answer is definitely yes with the current availability of cloud missions.
So working
Okay.
with cloud is involved in this course, right?
Now, working in cloud, no, it is not part of the course, because again, cloud is more in terms of, um, I would say we are going to rent out missions from the cloud, and then we are going to use it for whatever purpose, right? So I have a session on introduction to the cloud, how performance testing and engineering is going to be same or what is going to be different, introduction to the resiliency and chaos. All these things are going to be covered, but not in depth. It is more at a, since it is you need to know, you need to be aware of these concepts. We have added as the advanced topic or a bonus topic. But when it comes to engineering, application is going to be in on-prem or cloud. You are CPU profiling, memory leak analysis, thread dump, heap dump, GC analysis, your APM monitoring, database monitoring, AWR report, NFR strategy. Pretty much everything, whatever you're going to learn, is going to be common for both cloud and your on-prem. Few things might be varying, like you might be using their own CloudWatch kind of a tool. Your application might get deployed in a say Kubernetes kind of a environment. That time you might need to probably you might still need to monitor your host. Additionally, you might be monitoring your node or a pod. There are going to be small differences, terminologies that you have to aware of. But mostly when it comes to application performance testing and engineering, I would say it's not going to be any different. So this course is purely tailored for that objective. Okay. Yeah. Next is Grafana. Somebody has mentioned. Grafana, we are going to look into it in two places. One, when it comes to your infra monitoring, right? If you have an APM tool like Dynatrace or AppDynamics, it's going to do everything. If you don't have it, at least from a monitoring perspective, your both your application host, application server host, and also your load generators, right? For both monitoring your Windows or Linux level infra is very, very important. For that, we will use the Telegraph, Influx, and Grafana. And also, since I'm going to use a Grafana anyway, we'll also show how to configure Jmeter with Grafana as well. Since most of the time people ask that question, I'll also show how to use Grafana for monitoring your load testing results as well. So Grafana will be used, you will learn from a infra level monitoring perspective, combination of Telegraph, Inflex, and Grafana. Okay, good. So which means from left to right is what we wanted you guys to achieve at the end of your this course, or at least after the course is over. Once you practice on your own and so on, you should be able to go and put yourself in front of others, be it as a job interview or within your projects, right? Um, uh, you or other colleagues of yours might be doing pretty much all this testing activity. But after the course is completed, after you do some kind of an hands-on by yourself, whatever you have learned, then you should be able to confidently go and say that you have done server-side profiling, client-side profiling, you're good at heap dump and thread dump analysis, AWR analysis. You should be able to comfortably use JProfiler, JVisual VM, JConsole kind of a tools. You would be able to know how to benchmark, why to benchmark, and then fine-tune the JVM using APM tool for lot of activity, including your deep dive diagnostics, and then using both commercial and open source for monitoring your service, right? So, see, again, you're not going to compete with a very experienced performance engineer, right? You go to an interview and uh, you versus others who also a performance tester, right? And though the role is not for a performance engineering, but still, if you're going to go and say that you are already good in LoadRunner or Jmeter, but you also know all these things, whatever you have mentioned, then you're going to have a massive edge over the other performance test engineer who might be knowing only the testing aspect. Okay, that's a first win for you. We are not going to compete against the performance experienced performance engineer. We're not going to fake here. We're not going to go and say that I have a 3 year, 4 year experience. Not required. If you're honest enough, and then go and say that you're strong in performance testing or in some other area, and out of your passion, you learned all these things with a real time application. Um, you've done hands-on on all these things. That will put you definitely in a great differentiator when compared to the others. Okay, so that's the first step going towards it, right? See, it's like a kind of a chicken and egg. Um, if only if you have experience, you will get an exposure to these things. But only if you get an exposure, you will gain experience, right? But in a lot of projects, you will not be either we will not be able to confident enough to go and say that I'll do all these things. So you're not going to get there. Other way around, if you're not having experience, they might not even consider you, right? So instead of waiting for an opportunity in your projects, once you learn these things, and also at least once, if you could able to do everything on your own in your laptop, the least expectation is you should be able to go and do everything whatever I'm doing it in the my laptop. After the day session is over, the next day or over the weekend, if you can do at least certain things in your laptop by yourself, that will give you a lot of confidence. You will not forget whatever you learned, and then you can go and definitely say that you've done an hands-on. Okay. So I'll go over the topics for the next 10 minutes, maybe. Maybe you might have already seen that in the website, but I'll still just quickly go over the sequence of whatever you're going to learn. Okay. The initial topics are going to be towards something called uh, looking from a developer angle, right? See, till now, you have been going and reporting to a development team saying that the transaction is having high response time or a transaction is having a high failure rate. Okay, that even then with that kind of a statement, you might be challenged from a developer saying that there is no issue with the code, that it can be a script problem or a data problem. That's how you always get a feedback from a developer. They will always try to push it back, right? Now, from an engineering perspective, you're going to go and report to them saying that your class is having a problem, or a method is having a problem, or an object is having a problem with respect to CPU or a memory or a leak, right? Now, without a conviction, if you're going to go and talk about it, if you're just going to go and share what tool gives you, you're going to just take it and then give it to them, then you are going to be in a very, very tough place to go and convince them, or even to go and answer them, right? So, the first initial topics are especially designed in such a way that you would be able to get into that zone, right? We are not going to be a developer. We're not going to develop applications, but you should be able to know certain things like how a developer is going to develop a code. How is he going to use Eclipse? How is he going to create multiple classes? How is he going to call multiple methods? How is he going to call a database? How is he going to call an external downstream services? How is he going to compile? How is he going to create a jar or var? What is jar? What is var? How is he going to deploy it? So, thinking from a developer perspective is very important, so that once you have seen what is there, then you would be able to at least, when you do an analysis, when you do an engineering, then you would be able to make some sense of what it would be, and then you can go and tell that, or go and explain that problem to the developer. So initial session will be focused on some of the very important Java basics plus some Java programming. We will do some hands-on programming. Again, we are not going to learn Java more from a developer perspective. No way. That's not our job here. Okay, it's more from our getting ourselves um, hands-on in certain things, so that you can confidently go and talk to the developers. So Java JVM basics, we will do it initial a day or two. We'll go and look into that. That's a foundation for you, right, to go into the engineering topics. Okay, and then what we'll do is I'll have my application, e-library application. So let me go and start the application. So you'll also get an access to all these your application war file, Tomcat, which you can go and deploy it. Okay. So if I go to my drive, you will get an access to the drive where all these artifacts, softwares, tools, and then the Java application war files, what we are going to deploy, all these things are going to be available in this drive. Okay. Some of the Jmeter scripts which I'll be using it, all these things are going to be there in this folder. You will get an access to this once you register and make payment. You will get an access to this. Okay. So, so I'll later, probably tomorrow, I'll go and explain how to configure this Tomcat, how to use this for deployment. All these things I'll tell you later. But for now, I'll just go and start the server. Okay, so I'll also open the Eclipse. Eclipse is not mandatory for you, but still, if you have it, you can do some hands-on in the Java programming. It's recommended. Okay, so all these also will be available in the drive. You can download the Eclipse from the drive also, or from the internet, whatever way you want. And don't even think that you need a coding knowledge, or you need to know Java. Zero knowledge is what it is required. If you are good, if you are no, it is good, but it is not a prerequisite, or it is a mandatory one. Don't think that whether you will be able to do it or not. It is more about you to know what is what, and then you would be able to do it. So you no need to have any prior knowledge on any other programming language. If you know, it is always going to be good. But if you don't know, then it's not a problem. Okay. So this is the e-library application code that I am having it in my Eclipse workspace. I can also tell you how to import this into your Eclipse if it is required, but it is not mandatory. Okay, so I just started the Tomcat, and then I'll go and open the web application. Okay, so it will have a couple of functionalities like admin login, librarian login, looking into the librarians. You can add a book, return a book, issue a book. All these functionalities are going to be there in the application. Okay, so we'll use this to start with. When I say start with, let me go back to the topics. So we'll think that you're a performance engineer. Early part of that is going to be more from a early performance engineering. Your profiling, single user code profiling, both from a server perspective and client perspective. One from a response time CPU profiling, and next is going to be your memory or memory leak analysis or memory profiling. Okay, so the first engineering topic is going to be more of a responsive analysis, debugging the problem, more from a early performance engineering, not under load. Okay, this is not going to be under load initially. It is more from a single user server side profiling and single user client side profiling to optimize your response time. We will be using JProfiler tool, Chrome developer tools, Tomcat access log, combination of these tools for our initial session. Okay, and then for the same application, for the same functionality, say for example, for a login functionality, you would have done the response time analysis to debug the problem with the response time, right? We'll be using the say admin login or a librarian functionality. Same functionality, we'll also go and try to profile it from a memory perspective. So before going to that, we'll go and learn some of the important topics of Java heap, Java stack, stack overflow error, and then we'll go into the memory leak analysis. We'll use the tool like JProfiler or JConsole to identify the memory pattern, look into the memory pattern, and if the pattern is bad, then we'll go into a leak analysis, find out the root cause, which class, which method, or which object is having a problem. Okay, so all these things you'll learn from a memory leak analysis. And then as an extension to memory, right? Doing a memory leak analysis using JProfiler is a early performance engineering. But under load, you cannot go and do a live profiling. You always have to go and take a dumps. Okay, for when it comes to memory, it is called a heap dump. So how to take a heap dump, when to take a heap dump, how to analyze it, all these things you learn it. And this memory itself is going to be a very huge topics by itself, right? So pretty much it's going to have some 5 to 7 days, starting from Java heap stack, memory leak, heap dump, garbage collection analysis, GC logs, minor GC, major GC, various components of your GC like old generation, new generation, your event space, and then various collectors, when to use which collector like serial or your concurrent collectors. So all these things you will learn from a garbage collection perspective. Okay. So see, overall, if you see, right, to keep it simple, why we are learning these things. End of the day, I want to save money. Okay. I want to optimally use my resource. I will put it other way around. Forget about the money. I want to optimally use my resources. Resources in sense, you have 10 machines, 20 machines, right? And you might have every machine have 8 GB RAM or 4-core CPU. I want to optimally use my resources. I have to use my resources. I have to spend money. There is no other way, right? But how optimally I can use it is the overall objective of performance engineering. So to optimally use it, I should not overuse it. That's a meaning, right? And also I should not use it very low also. Optimally means you're using the resources in the right way. You're not underutilizing it or overutilizing it. Both is not a right one. So ultimate aim of performance engineering is to optimally use your resources. So for that, say for example, if my one of the functionalities is having a high response time, if I'm not going to optimize it, right? What will happen? More the response time, more is going to be your CPU time, right? It's going to be running with the help of CPU. So more either higher the response time, more the CPU consumption, which means unwantedly you're going to use a CPU time which could have been used by other users, right? Similarly, your memory is also going to have a limit. Both CPU and memory have a limit. That's why we wanted to optimally use it. If it is an infinite, there's no limit, then we won't really worry about it. But both are going to be having a limit. So memory as well, it could be 4 GB RAM or 8 GB RAM. As you a functionality is going to get called multiple times over the time, obviously your memory will increase. It will consume, but it will also come down after a certain time. That's why GC will come into picture. I'll talk about that later. So ideal scenarios, memory goes up, comes down. Memory goes up, comes down. But if it's not going to come down, if it is going to be linearly keep on increasing, then it's a problem, right? So we have to address that problem. Otherwise, again, the capacity of your machine is going to get impacted. Instead of using it for 1,000 users, I can use only for 500 users because your memory, there's a leak, because of which memory will keep on increasing. Then I cannot have more users using the application, right? So optimizing your response time, which will directly proportional to your CPU, optimizing your memory, both are required for you to optimally use your infrastructure, especially in the cloud. The cloud, people think that we don't need to worry about the cloud because it is going to provide you multiple machines on the fly. Yes, that is correct. From a scalability perspective, that is correct. If there is an unexpected load for that, if you're going to get additional machine, that is fine. Or unexpectedly, because of some problems, the machine is going down, then also cloud will provide you a backup machine immediately. So all these things are good, but it doesn't mean that we can go with the inefficient code which is having a memory leak or which is having a response time. Then you're going to pay more and more money to the cloud vendor like your Amazon or Azure. Correct. So the engineering objective is to optimally use the resources. For that, as part of the best practices in your project, you have to do the early performance engineering, both from a response time perspective and also the memory perspective. So all these things will learn as part of the early performance engineering. Now, as we move forward from early performance engineering to testing time, right, where your code is available for testing, there um, uh, uh, you need to, before you go and plan for any load testing or endurance testing, right? You have to go and create a monitoring strategy. Like your test plan or test strategy, you should also have a comprehensive monitoring strategy, because if you just look back, right, we spend a lot of time in scripting. We spend a lot of time in setting up this, all the data and everything, and then we go and execute it. Why we are doing all these things? It is to observe what is happening when there is a heavy load. Okay, if you can't observe, then you will not be able to say, okay, your response time might be good. There's no failure from a Jmeter, but will you be able to go and conclude your code is good or your application is good? No, right? Because you're only seeing one perspective. From an end user perspective, yes, everything is good. But you never know, one of the component in your architecture might be running it at very, very, very high CPU or a very high memory. It might be still responding good, so you don't see an impact into your Jmeter or LoadRunner report. But it can break any point of time, right? So monitoring and observing the your components is very, very important. So you have to come up with a proper monitoring strategy at the beginning. When I say at the beginning, before your testing phase starts. So we'll learn how to create those monitoring strategy, how to look into the architecture. And then from a monitoring perspective, we'll learn open source option, as I said earlier, Grafana, Telegraph, and also from a commercial tool perspective, we'll go and see how we can set up this Dynatrace or AppDynamics, how to install the agents, how to start monitoring it, diagnosing the problem, taking a heap dump, looking into the threads, creating alerts. All these things will learn from AppDynamics and Dynatrace perspective. Okay, and as I said, right, I mean, when you do a load testing, you cannot do a profiling. When a response time is high, you cannot do a profiling for analyzing your response time or memory. Instead, we take a snapshot. Okay, that is something called your heap dump or thread dump. If you have a memory problem, then we go and take a heap dump. If there's a problem with your thread utilization or a CPU, then we will go and take a thread dump. Okay, so we'll try to learn how to take a thread dump, how to take a heap dump, when to take it, what is the process for that, what is that you need to good practice to be done while taking thread dump, heap dump. All these things we'll learn. Okay, so So all these things from an application perspective, right? And then also we'll go and learn something from a database. Oracle is still an enterprise grade SQL database. So we'll go and learn how the process and memory architecture of Oracle works. And then some of the important performance related concepts like parsing efficiency, art parsing, sub parsing, buffer cache hit ratio, all these things we will learn. And then we'll also go and learn how why to take a AWR report, when to take a AWR report, how to analyze it from an application performance engineering perspective. All these things we will learn. Okay, now uh, uh, pretty much all these things are going to be part of your either your development phase or testing phase, right? So during development, you work with the developers and then go and do the all these profiling or early performance engineering. And during the testing phase, you go and monitor, analyze, debug, take a thread dump, heap dump, analyze it. All these things will happen in the testing phase. But more from a requirement or design, right? You need to go and do a proper non-functional requirements to come up with a proper strategy, right? So out as a tester, you might have just got few data inputs and then you would have started writing scripting and execution, right? As a performance engineer, you have to make sure that your NFRs are defined properly and it is analyzed properly. Otherwise, if you don't have a solid requirement, then your output, right, end of the testing phase, you get a report. How are you going to ensure that your NFRs are going to be met or not? Okay, so proper NFR definition and NFR requirement analysis is very, very important. We'll also learn from that perspective. And more from a, so all these things are pretty much from an engineering perspective, right? But in the current job market, whether they are going to do it or not, they'll definitely talk about certain things. Like I mentioned about introduction to DevOps, your Jenkins or a Jmeter integration. So you will have a video. Mm, is there a question?
Yes, I have a question.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, basically, I try so many times, but I have some problems, so that's I'm not able to ask my question. Basically, I'm working as a team lead and as a software test engineer. But the thing is that I'm just attending 4 to 7 interview, and what I found that they are more focused on the engineering, not upon the performance testing. So, like, it will be better to join this course, or I need to join the LoadRunner.
See, again, it depends. Okay, if you are test lead, you are a test lead who is going to take care of a functional testing team, and then performance team. You're not going to go and write scripts, right?
Yeah,
You're
basically,
not going to write
let
scripts.
me clear more. Basically, where I'm working, it's a totally manual testing, not automation. And my role is also doing performance testing and leading a team. And what I want, just I want to switch as a performance test engineer. And I also given some interview, like 4 to 5 interviews. I'm not able to crack, like reach at the second level.
Okay.
So what I need to do, basically just I have also uh, joined your course of Dynatrace in last year, but I am not able to decide like what I have to do. I have to focus more on LoadRunner or performance engineering.
I have to get some more information from you to give you advice.
Sure.
Whatever I heard, I I I think you have a 4 years of experience and you already are leading a team, manual testing team. Do one thing,
Yes.
okay? For me to advise, I need some more discussion to be done offline. So just ping me tomorrow daytime. We can discuss, and then I can definitely provide you recommendation. Okay?
Sure.
Yes. Okay.
Okay.
So continue. So introduction DevOps and then synthetic monitoring. Both, if you see, synthetic monitoring is more from a production feedback. Okay, monitoring your production application proactively to make sure that it is available 24/7. So using Dynatrace, we'll be doing the synthetic monitoring. So both videos will be available to you immediately when you register and make a payment. so that you can look into it. And then if you have doubts, you can also ask those questions during your live sessions. The reason why we have kept it as videos are, again, we what we have seen over the time is when the batch goes over 25 days, 20 days, people's energy level comes down. So a few things we have made it as it's my own video anyway. The video which I have recorded earlier, that would be given to you. So it is not a some other's video. It is my own video, recorded video. So you will get an access to that. So you can look into it leisurely. And if you have doubts, you can definitely ask me. So that's why you will get access to this synthetic monitoring, and also uh, two more things: Linux for performance testing. Okay, so a lot of places we might be using Linux for load generators. Your applications that will be in Linux. So we should be able to go and comfortably use Linux, right? All those commands, how to connect the Linux machines. So all these things also is available in the video. It's again, it's my own recorded video. So that also will be there. And also one more thing is for the how to use Selenium for client side performance. That also video you will get it. Okay. In addition to that, yeah, I think there's a question around GenAI, right? Yes. So introduction to GenAI, what is GenAI, what is LLM, what is prompt engineering, and how what are the performance testing use cases for GenAI? At an introduction level, you will get it. Again, it's not an engineering topic, but still, uh, everywhere we people talks about GenAI and LLM, so you should be aware of it definitely. If at all in your projects, if they have subscription for LLMs or your Copilot kind of tools, you should know how to use it and when to use it. So those introduction to the Gen AI and the performance testing engineering use cases, I'll be teaching and you'll be learning. Okay. Yeah, pretty much. And cloud, I already told. We will have from a future readiness perspective, introduction to cloud. What is on-prem? What is your migrating to cloud is going to be? What is the approach we have to follow? What is resiliency? The chaos, introduction to chaos testing. All these things will be taken care from our cloud also. Okay, so it is pretty much going to be 24 to 25, 22, 23, 25 hours, Monday to Friday, between same time, mostly same time, 9 p.m. to 10 p.m. And yeah, and as I said, right, the way we're going to learn is pretty much most of the topics are going to be, I would say 70% practical and 30% theoretical. And we will go and build the code, deploy it, test it, identify problems, fix it, and then again redeploy it and then run it. That's how it is going to be. And what I want from you is as simple as that. Whatever I'm going to use it, be it Dynatrace or AppDynamics or JProfiler or a JVisual VM or a JConsole or a heap dump analysis tools, whatever I'm going to use it, you will be able to use it. There are going to be trial versions. There are going to be open source tools which you are going to deploy and use it in your own mission. Whatever I do, you will be able to do it. Everything. Okay. Only thing is you should have a minimum of your own personal laptop with some prerequisite like Java, Tomcat, and for every session, whatever you need, the tools you'll get download and then install it. So the ask from me is at least have once do an hands-on immediately the next day or over the weekend, or at least after the batch is completed, try to cover everything at least once from a hands-on perspective. Okay. The most of the thing, whatever I do, artifacts, you will get an access to that through the share drive. Okay. So any questions on the enrollment or registrations, you can reach out to the WhatsApp admins and or Kumar sir, or anything that is something from a course content, or whether the person asked about the applicability, right? Whether it is applicable for you or not. You have some skill set, some experience, whether it is relevant or not. All these topics related question, you can reach out to me tomorrow or during a daytime. We can find out some mutual availability and then we can get over a WhatsApp call.
So I had a question. So there was also a cloud PE session which has just started a few days ago. Both the sessions are in parallel, so I cannot attend that session. So will any part of the cloud PE be covered in this course?
Okay, so if you look into that topics that might be in cloud, right? it is not an more of an engineering. Okay, it is more
Mm.
of a cloud. um Cloud by itself, right? You will be able to go and learn about the cloud terminologies, cloud services. Um, it is, I would say, it is not an engineering, but more of a cloud environment and cloud related services. You would be learning it. It is good to learn that also. But I don't think you would be having enough time to go and learn both at the same time.
Yeah,
So you can
exactly.
gradually do it. Yeah, probably either of whichever. See, maybe in your project, if you have a lot of cloud related activity going on, and if you feel that you need to learn cloud, probably go and take cloud and then come to engineering. Or if it is not that urgent, then it is better to learn engineering and then maybe go and learn cloud and DevOps. See, cloud DevOps are kind of a very common thing that will be used by developers, by deployment people, by testers, and by performance team, right? It's more about an environment, more about tools and services. So we'll be consuming it.
Yeah.
Performance testing and engineering is more of a skill set. So
Yeah.
depending upon your need, you can pick. But I would advise, don't do that. Take it in a hurry. You
Yeah.
will not get time to understand both.
Yeah. So in terms of appearing for interviews, maybe PE is better, right?
Um, PE is definitely better, but awareness to the cloud is very, very important, right? Because
Mm.
see, we are not going to be a cloud architect here. We're not going to do any design or architect in the cloud, but you should be aware of certain things.
Yeah.
That is the reason I have included that. So that will be just enough for you to know, so that people should know that, okay, when you are going to work in a cloud application,
Yeah.
how will you approach it? From that
Yeah.
level, I think this should be good enough.
Okay. I just wanted to also ask if you would be able to, like, point us to any interview questions or, like any
Yes.
suggestions. Yeah.
So yeah, normally what happens is, right, in between the sessions, we will have at least a day where it's kind of an open session. I will go over a couple of interview questions, and people like you or others who have attended the interview questions, right, they can also come up with their questions, and we can discuss. So in between, we'll have one definitely, maybe after some 30-40% of the course is completed, we'll have one interview related discussion. And at the end as well, we'll have one more interview related topics. Okay,
Okay.
purely an open session, open discussion within the group.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, a couple of questions. Timing can be 8:30 or earlier. Again, we'll work it out. Okay, so depending upon once you register, right? Even I'm okay open for 8 to 9 p.m. or 9 to 10 p.m. So depending upon the majority, we will decide. We are open to it. Okay, we can make it 8:30 to 9:30 also. So once you guys register and make payments, we can discuss and decide and do it. So it can be 9 to 10, it can be 8:30 to 9:30 or 8 to 9. It's not going to be anything other than that. Between 8 p.m. to 10 p.m., we will decide. But for now, it is 9 p.m. to 10 p.m. is what planned. But if you guys are wanted earlier, we can do that. Yeah, that's a good question. If the session is missed, right? You will. So I'm recording the video now. The recording will be available next day. By noon, you will get the videos, and the videos are always going to be available for you. Okay, it's not. There's no expiry on it. And the duration of the course, it's going to be, I would say, anywhere between 20 to 24 sessions. So which will spread across an average, it'll be 5 weeks. I mean, based on last 2.5 years, that's how it is. 4.5, 5 weeks is what normally we end up with. Okay. Fine. So what we'll do is, again, tomorrow we'll have we'll have the day one. Meantime, as I said, in the morning time, if you guys want to discuss with me to understand whether course is relevant or not, maybe any of the doubts, you can reach out to me. I'll message my number in the WhatsApp groups. Okay, my name is Satish. I'll just mention that as well. For any payment or registration related questions or clarification, you can reach out to Kumar sir or other admins. Okay, we'll stop it here, guys, and we'll meet tomorrow then.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, guys.
Thanks, Satish. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Thank you.
Yeah. Bye bye.